In the quiet corner of ancient Caria, a monument was raised that would redefine the concept of eternal rest for millennia to come. Standing 45 meters tall, the mausoleum at Halicarnassus was an architectural marvel that blended Persian power with Greek aesthetic brilliance. While many ancient rulers sought immortality through conquest, Mausolus achieved it through a tomb so magnificent that his name became synonymous with grand funerary architecture. This structure was not merely a grave, but a massive 15-story canvas decorated with hundreds of freestanding sculptures. To understand the scale of this achievement, one must look at the modern world's most famous mausoleum, the Taj Mahal. Just as the Taj Mahal houses the remains of Mumtaz Mahal and Shah Jahan, the ancient wonder at Halicarnassus was designed to preserve the legacy of Mausolus and his wife, Artemisia. Before this building existed, the word mausoleum did not have its generic meaning. It literally meant the monument of Mausolus. It was a specific tribute to a man who lived at the crossroads of empires, where the East met the West in the lands of Anatolia. Mausolus was not a pharaoh like Khufu or an emperor like Qin Shi Huang, yet he commanded the resources to build a monument that rivaled their greatest works. He served as a satrap, a powerful viceroy of the Achaemenid Persian Empire, ruling over the region of Caria in modern-day Turkey. The land of Caria was heavily influenced by the neighboring Greeks, creating a unique cultural synthesis of Anatolian and Hellenic traditions. This influence was so deep that Greek products, art, and language were common among the local elite and merchant classes. Before the Persians arrived, the region was dominated by the kingdom of Lydia and its legendary king, Croesus. Though Croesus was famously wealthy, his riches could not prevent the expansion of the rising Persian Empire in the 6th century BC. For 200 years, the Persians maintained control over Anatolia through a system of provinces known as satrapies. Caria was one such satrapy, and while it paid tribute to the great king, its local rulers often enjoyed significant autonomy. Mausolus inherited his position from his father in 377 BC, becoming both a Persian official and a hereditary local ruler. Despite his political ties to Persia, his heart and education were rooted firmly in the traditions of classical Greece. He was a man of ambition who sought to expand his territory through careful diplomacy and small-scale military campaigns. His expansion into the region of Lycia would provide the primary architectural inspiration for his most famous project. In Lycia, local nobles were buried in pillar tombs, elevated stone chambers that sat high above the ground on massive pedestals. These structures suggested that the dead were not merely buried, but were elevated to a higher, more sacred status. Mausolus took this concept of the elevated burial chamber and magnified it to an unprecedented scale in his new capital city. He chose the coastal city of Halicarnassus, modern-day Bodrum, as the center of his power and his final resting place. Together with his sister wife, Artemisia, he transformed Halicarnassus into a model of Greek urbanism with paved streets and grand public squares. They commissioned massive fortified palaces, theaters, and temples dedicated to the gods of the Greek pantheon. The city was built to reflect the sophistication of the ruler, using luxury materials like marble to replace older, more modest structures. At the heart of this urban renewal was the plan for a tomb that would be visible from the harbor and the surrounding hills. The construction of the mausoleum was a project of such scale that it required the labor of the finest craftsmen from across the Mediterranean. Unfortunately, Mausolus would not live to see the completion of his vision. Passing away in 353 BC, after 24 years of rule. His grief-stricken widow, Artemisia, continued the work for 2 more years before she also passed away. Their successors remained committed to the project, ensuring that the monument was finished as a lasting tribute to the dynasty. The structure was composed of 3 distinct levels, each representing a different architectural style and purpose. At the base was a massive rectangular podium that acted as the pedestal for the sacred levels above. Above the base sat a colonnade of 36 columns, reaching a height of 11 meters and resembling a traditional Greek temple. This section housed the primary burial chamber, where the ashes of the rulers were likely placed in golden urns. The monument was topped by a 24-step pyramid that narrowed into a flat platform high above the city. On this platform stood a colossal marble chariot pulled by 4 horses, carrying the sculpted figures of Mausolus and Artemisia. The sheer number of statues made the mausoleum unique, with over 400 freestanding figures decorating the various levels. These sculptures represented the pinnacle of Greek classical art, characterized by an obsession with realistic human forms. Art historians divide ancient Greek sculpture into 3 eras: the Archaic, the Classical, and the Hellenistic. The mausoleum belongs to the Classical period, which is often considered the purest expression of Greek aesthetic standards. During this time, the representation of the human body was seen as the highest form of artistic and religious expression. Gods and mortals were depicted with identical realism, blurring the lines between the sacred and the secular. To an ancient visitor, the sight of hundreds of life-size statues would have been an overwhelming sensory experience. In a world without photography or digital images, such a concentration of realistic art was almost magical. The friezes surrounding the building depicted legendary battles such as the Centauromachy and the Amazonomachy. These mythical conflicts between Greeks and Amazons were carved with such detail that they seemed to pulsate with life. For 16 centuries, the mausoleum stood as a guardian over the city of Halicarnassus, surviving the fall of empires. It remained intact even as the Persian Empire crumbled and Alexander the Great swept through the region. Eventually, time and nature began to take their toll on the ancient wonder. A series of powerful earthquakes in the 14th and 15th centuries caused the upper levels of the pyramid and colonnade to collapse. By 1402 AD, the Knights of St. John arrived in Bodrum and began using the ruins of the mausoleum as a quarry. They recycled the ancient stones and marble to build their own fortress, which still stands in the harbor today. During the construction of the fortress, the knights reportedly discovered a secret passage leading to the burial chamber. However, they found the chamber empty, suggesting that grave robbers had looted the treasures centuries earlier. The exact location of the monument was lost to history until British archaeologists rediscovered the foundations in the 19th century. Their excavations revealed broken statues, friezes, and even a massive marble wheel from the chariot on top. These fragments are now housed in museums, allowing us to reconstruct the splendor of a monument that once touched the sky. Though the stones are scattered, the word mausoleum remains as a permanent monument to a man who refused to be forgotten. Discover more history by watching the next video. We're eager to share more with you. You can't go wrong. All our videos are deeply detailed, dull while fascinating, and distinctly sleep-inducing.